Come, stand with me, side by side. No longer embrace the divide.
The International Human Rights Festival was a chance to bring together, in this case, about 150 artists, producing about 50 different events, all of them advocacy-based. It was based in the I should. So you had a bunch of artists presenting through their art who they were and what they felt they should do, as opposed to the you should, which is so often the basis of religion or politics or even a lot of activism.
Welcome to the International Human Rights Art Festival. We have 50 events over the next 50 hours, and there's more than 150 artists.
Revolution begins when voices creep up between the cracks and see sidewalks.
Been a long, long time coming.
There was power in people coming together, speaking out in the face of oppression in any form.
More than ever before in my lifetime, as a Jewish gay man and as an artist, my rights and freedoms cannot be taken for granted.
Growing out of this was our engagement with politicians and, like I said, non-art activists.
I'm a Nigerian human rights activist and also a media practitioner.
This is a man that has been getting arrested for his values and his struggle since 1994. He founded what is, I think, considered the most important journal, newspaper periodical, it's online, called Sahara Reporters in Africa.
Africa doesn't need aid, Africa doesn't need handouts, Africa needs for its resources to be managed and controlled by Africans.
When I think of human rights, the tie to arts is really meaningful, and that for me human rights is very much about narrative. It's very much about expression. You know, at the heart of human rights is allowing people to be themselves, to be proud of who they are, and for us as the people around them to not only accept or tolerate that, but to celebrate it.
And this is a time for us to dedicate ourselves to justice.
Spilling Ink was founded as a platform to really offer us an opportunity to just really experiment within a classical framework, doing work that I think is very, very rooted in tradition and the classicism and the rigor that comes with the dance forms that we do.
We're trying to create this balance in the world between the good and the evil, and we're trying to keep the evil down. We were taught that evil can never be destroyed, it's always going to be part of our lives, but how do we keep it on the sidelines and allow the good to take over? So that's what we are striving for even now in the world. You can see that it's kind of getting off balance, and we need to get that balance back. So it's a universal message really that we try and portray through our dance forms as well.
We've been sitting here talking for the last hour, and I declare you haven't even made a move. I'm a trans femme performance maker and academic.
You come at me with your words of help and sobriety and goddamn 12-step meetings, and yet you can't even love me.
So Blanche on Winter's Eve deals with the constant community struggle that many queer folks deal with, which is the drug addiction that rattles many of us and becomes very wrapped up within our sexual health.
I need 10, I need 20, I need 30, I need every man, wise or not, until I feel loved, I feel validated, I feel beautiful because I know I am, and people want to be my friend.
I just led a workshop on using performance techniques out of a performance context to access compassionate listening and compassionate relating, reimagining how we learn and how we might learn, and also how we engage with our practices of art making and daily living, and really bringing like a consciousness to those things.
Is there anything
The title nods to the paintings on the outside, which are depictions of plant and animal species that have been observed to be changing. It's all made of recycled clothing materials that we found, so it was all hand stitched. Looks kind of like a crazy quilt. He does tarot card readings as just really a framework or format to talk about things that might otherwise be really difficult to talk about.
I'm an interdisciplinary activist artist. I make art specifically on disability identity, trying to bring an awareness and disability pride to people. We all owned our health conditions and shared them, and instead of thanking me for coming forward with mine, I feel like this world would see that not everybody is perfect. We would stop looking to perfect people, and people would have disability pride. And they would be so proud of having a disability, realizing that it makes them stronger and it makes them more beautiful and unique.
The featured dancer, which I'm dancing in that role this time, is seemingly trying to escape something. She has two other dancers like holding her wrists, and she's like trying to escape. And as the piece develops, it kind of settles into them not necessarily being, prison guards, but they are also supporters. So there's things that I can do in the dance that I couldn't really do without them there. So it's the kind of idea of like flipping something on its head. It's like, let's look at it from a different perspective.
The use of dance to tell stories of illness and healing is an ancient and global tradition. The stories we tell in medicine sometimes fall short of the grace that women deserve. There's a sense in both mythology and medicine that women must be paragons of the highest cultural expectations. They must be accomplished, kind, thoughtful, giving, and intelligent, all suffering from the symptoms of perfection.
I was scared all the time. Everywhere I went, school, later I was scared at work, I was terrified in doctors' offices.
Jessica presented something which examined people's fears and how they respond to them, and then offered responses, I think. And again, it's really about people unmasking themselves. And it was not just about the people on stage unmasking, but it was very interactive, and so it was about the people in the audience unmasking themselves in terms of what they're most afraid of.
Around the world today, there are injustices, violations of human rights. There are sadly too many names to name. Poetic People Power is a spoken word group here in New York City, and what we do is we commission writers to pen new pieces on social and political topics.
It took 8 years to convict and imprison his killers. The true victims are the families who survive them.
It's very direct. I think people think that political or activist art is vague, and I wasn't interested in doing art where people just felt maybe informed or inspired, but then they left the theater and they didn't know what to do. I really wanted to create something that was very much a mix of art and social change, and I was really working to make sure that audiences and people who come to our shows have the information that they need.
We wanted to inspire people to do something themselves, to do one extra thing, to get involved in some way in these specific issues. And as they learned about the issues through the art, we often provided further ways of getting involved socially. If everybody that came to the festival, hundreds and hundreds of people, and everybody that heard or read about the festival, thousands and thousands of people, if everybody did one more thing a day, I think this world would really begin to change. So that would be the call to action.